and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com. Victoria County deputies arrest a man wanted for capital murder out of Houston.
A Texas woman is charged with attempted murder of a Palestinian child. This as tensions flare over the Israel-Hamas war in the U.S.
And the city of Victoria plans to address homelessness in the Queen City area.
We are looking at some fairly quiet weather. We'll have daily afternoon little showers rolling around the area, but what's happening in the tropics? We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
In Game 3 of the College World Series going on right now, Aggies trying to win its first ever title. I'll have an update on all that coming up in sports.
Watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. Today at around 15 a.m., Houston police alerted Victoria County deputies about a capital murder suspect headed to our area on Highway 59. The suspect is accused of killing 2 people at an apartment complex parking lot in Houston around 10:45 p.m. Sunday. Deputies pulled him over on Highway 59 near Beck Road. They arrested 40-year-old Gustavo Flores of Mexico tonight, and he's being held without bond. Lavaca County deputies arrested a man Saturday, Trey Johnson, facing 4 charges, including unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. He remains in the Lavaca County Jail in lieu of a $52,000 bond. And Yoakum police arrested a man Friday. Angel Ortiz is charged with indecency with a child sexual contact. He is in the Lavaca County Jail in lieu of a $50,000 bond. Ortiz is also in jail on a INS detainer.
Calhoun County deputies arrested a 55-year-old man Friday. Richard Meitzler is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He is in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of $50,000 bond. Cuero police arrested a 21-year-old man Friday. Colin Richardson faces an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge from Calhoun County. He is in the DeWitt County Jail in lieu of $100,000 bond. An 18-wheeler overturned in Refugio County this afternoon. It happened on U.S. Highway 77 in front of Our Lady of Refuge Catholic Church in Refugio. First responders are on the scene. 1 lane north and 1 lane south are open. The city of Point Comfort is still under a boil water notice. The notice was issued last Friday. This notice is in effect until further notice. Point Comfort issued a boil water notice earlier this month. That notice ended on June 5th. For questions on the boil water notice in Point Comfort, call 361-558-8684.
And now let's look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis, who is telling us we're going to see some showers this week.
I don't know if you got any today, but we had some little garden variety showers roll around. That's good. It's nice to have that. You know, the interesting thing is that the heat dome has moved to the Central Plains and the east, the Central Plains and the east, and that keeps the tropical door open. So next week, about 7 to 10 days, we may have another tropical system out there. So we'll have all the latest for you coming up in just a moment.
Mac, thank you. Multiple people gathered this past weekend to honor the life of a North Texas woman who was killed at a Juneteenth celebration near Austin. Lindsay Vicknar was one of 2 people fatally shot during the event in Round Rock. More than 12 others were hurt. The sanctuary at Mansfield Bethlehem Baptist Church was packed Saturday in honor of the 33-year-old wife and mother of 3 children, ages 7, 4, and 1. Friends and family say the active attorney always made time for her community and those she loved.
Kenzie, Cairo, and Kaya knew the meaning of integrity, even at their young ages, because it was modeled and instilled in them. Lindsay showed them what love is, what God's love is.
Since the shooting, Round Rock police arrested 2 suspects, including a 17-year-old. They say more arrests and charges are expected. Violence making headlines over the weekend, highlighting the continued tensions in the U.S. over the Israel-Hamas war.
The Israeli Prime Minister signals that the intense phase of the fighting in Gaza could be winding down soon.
But over the weekend, a Texas woman was charged with attempted murder for a possible hate crime against a Palestinian child.
Violence erupted between pro-Palestinian and pro-Israel demonstrators Sunday outside a Los Angeles synagogue that was hosting an event about buying land in Jerusalem.
It's not meant to be intimidating. Yeah, disruptive for sure. This is intimidating. We didn't get in anyone's faces.
Tensions over the Israel-Hamas war have flared across the U.S. since last fall, but Sunday's clash was criticized by officials for targeting an event inside a Jewish house of worship.
I don't think the Jewish people will go in front of a mosque or Christian people go in front of a mosque to do such a thing.
California's governor and President Joe Biden are among the voices condemning the violence in posts on X. Also over the weekend, a Texas woman is charged with attempted capital murder and injury to a child after allegedly trying to drown a 3-year-old Palestinian girl who was swimming with her mom at an apartment complex near Dallas. The child was not seriously injured. The local chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations wants the attack investigated as a hate crime. These latest headlines come as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a Sunday interview that the intense fighting phase in Gaza could wind down soon. But the war itself will not completely end until Hamas is eliminated and all hostages, alive and dead, are returned home.
After the intense phase is finished, we will have the possibility to move part of the forces north.
In the north, Israel could begin to engage Iranian-backed Hezbollah forces in Lebanon, where fighting there has intensified. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
NGO Save the Children reports as many as 21,000 children are missing in Gaza since the war started, and many of those are thought to be trapped beneath rubble, detained, buried in unmarked graves, or simply lost from their families. The organization also says Israel's current offensive in Rafah has forcibly, quote, separated more children and further increased the strain on families and communities, unquote. CNN could not independently verify Save the Children's report. Homeowners who live near Queen City Park in Victoria face a number of issues stemming from homeless people who hang out in the area. For years, residents have complained about trespassing and theft. Now the city of Victoria is planning to address the issue. The city manager's office says they plan to increase police presence, enforce state laws regarding outdoor camping, and improve communication with area residents and Christ Kitchen. The city is also looking at a neighborhood watch and possibly implementing a curfew at the park.
Here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Which option do you think would best address the issues at Queen City Park? A neighborhood watch program or establishing a curfew? Overwhelmingly, 94% of the voters say establishing a curfew is the best way to address the issues at Queen City Park. We thank you for voting, and we want to hear your opinion. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we will have an update on 25 News Now at 10. The VEDC is inviting the public to their partnership meeting tomorrow at the Victoria College with President Dr. Jennifer Kent. The meeting will go over progress reports on projects. It starts at 7:30 a.m. in room 205.
Fewer Texas students are seeking financial aid for college after this year's FAFSA rollout. You can read this Texas Tribune article on our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on
YouTube.
There you go. Stay with us. Today marks 2 years since the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, what President Biden and Donald Trump have to say.
Also ahead, civil liberties groups file a lawsuit against Louisiana for its requirement of the 10 Commandments in the classroom. A coalition of civil liberties groups filed a lawsuit against Louisiana Monday.
Now, this follows the governor's signing of a bill last week that mandates the display of the 10 Commandments in every public school classroom in Louisiana starting in 2025. The lawsuit claims the new law violates the First Amendment. It also says the law, quote, substantially interferes with and burdens parents' rights to direct their children's religious upbringing, unquote. The suit was brought by a diverse group of 9 Louisiana families, including Jewish, Christian, Unitarian, Universalist, and non-religious individuals. It has been exactly 2 years since the fall of Roe v. Wade, and the Biden campaign is fired up, placing the blame of stripped abortion rights solely on Donald Trump.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump is taking a victory lap for appointing most of the Supreme Court justices who helped overturn Roe v. Wade.
Today marks the 2nd anniversary of the fall of Roe v. Wade. The Biden-Harris campaign out in full force, attacking former President Trump for appointing 3 of the 6 justices who overturned the nation's constitutional right to an abortion.
In the case of the stealing of reproductive freedom from the women of America, Donald Trump is guilty.
Vice President Kamala Harris fired up, traveling to multiple states, keeping the issue of abortion rights front and center ahead of November, and just days away from the highly anticipated debate between President Biden and Trump.
Donald Trump thinks the government is in a better position to tell women what's in their best interest than women are to know for themselves. But Joe Biden and I trust women.
The president's re-election team launching new ads today.
We're up against extremism.
Hosting dozens of events this week as protests are set in major cities like Washington, D.C. This as Trump takes credit for the High Court's decision 2 years ago, which paved the way for abortion bans in almost 24 Republican-led states. Trump stopping short of supporting a national abortion ban.
Getting it back to the states puts the question where it belongs with the vote of the people, and over time, it will all work out.
Trump's campaign rebutting Biden, saying the ex-president strongly supports ensuring women have access to the care they need to create healthy families. President Biden and former President Trump will likely be questioned extensively on the issue of abortion rights and the reversal of Roe Thursday when they face off for the first presidential debate. I'm Wynn, ABC News, Washington.
A new study found a possible link between rising infant mortality in Texas and the state's abortion restrictions. In September 2021, Texas banned nearly all abortions beyond 6 weeks of pregnancy. The authors of the study found that between 2021 and 2022, infant deaths in Texas surged nearly 13%. In Texas, the rate of infant mortality, or the number of deaths per 1,000 live births, also jumped significantly compared to the rest of the nation. That suggests the increase in deaths was not solely based on the rise in births. SpaceX completed 2 launches and sent more than 36 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit on Sunday. SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 rocket carrying 20 Starlink satellites, including 13 with direct-to-cell capabilities, from Vandenberg Space Force Station in California. It was the 2nd mission of the day for SpaceX. It also launched 22 additional Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit Sunday afternoon from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida.
This heart-pounding encounter of a bobcat sneaking up on a 10-year-old Yorkie occurred in Collin County. Wildlife experts say new development is causing habitats to shrink and urban bobcat sightings to become more common in parts of North Texas. The bobcat goes to put the puppy in its mouth around the dog's neck and then swiped at the dog twice. The homeowner noticed and started screaming, startling the bobcat before getting her dog back inside safely.
I saw this big cat and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a bobcat, you know, like, and I couldn't believe my eyes, and I just went into mommy protective mode. Yes, yeah, it was spooky. I've never seen, I mean, it was like being in National Geographic. I mean, it was like, you know, a tiger.
She says this is the first time in 16 years living there that they've had a bobcat encounter. Experts say owners should always stay with small pets outside, specifically when predatory animals like bobcats and coyotes have been spotted in the area.
Yeah, and that little dog, like my little dog and your little dog, thinks he's all brave in that. He run the other way. Well, folks, not a bad looking day today. Lots of clouds and a few little showers. No significant problems out there. We're going to stay in this kind of a low pattern for about 4 or 5 days. 91 was our current temperature. We got up to 92 this afternoon, but the tropics are still open. And we could see something in about 7 to 10 days. So we'll talk about that coming up after this. Well, good afternoon, everybody. You've heard me mention before, and we're looking at the big picture, is when the heat wave gets to Chicago or the Midwest, the tropical door opens up because remember, this is going around in this fashion, the air around this high. Well, that encourages that tropical air to roll across the warm waters of the tropic and moves into our area. So right about now, we don't have anything active, but we do have something in the horizon. And I'll show you that in a moment. A couple of little garden variety showers rolled around the area today. If you caught one, well, consider yourself lucky. I went ahead and washed my car so that it will rain again. Okay, because that's usually the way it works out. You can see how most of Texas, coastal areas especially, got a few little afternoon showers, but nothing severe, nothing's important. Now, as you see in the tropics, we have this little pink area that I want you to see because that is the tropical cyclone potential. In other words, where it's darker red, there's more potential for the development of the storm, where it looks at the water temperature, the air temperature, the shear, several factors, and we see that right about here we have a tropical wave beginning to get organized. Now it's way out there. It is very far south. It's right off the coast of Venezuela, but this has the potential of getting to the Caribbean and then crossing over some very warm waters where it would likely strengthen. 5 to 7 days from now, it may be in the Gulf, so we're going to be watching it very carefully. Just an idea, Alberto did do good for as far as I'm concerned because brought us substantial rainfall with a minimum of damage. Now, if you got water in your living room, I'm sorry to hear that, but look at that. For the whole week, this was for all last week, Fulton Beach got 9 inches of rain, Goliad 5, and even Port O'Connor 3.39. Of course, as you know, we got a lot of surge as the water came up high onto the beaches. This is what we've got in terms of rain opportunity for the rest of the week. So you can see it's fairly low, nothing significant. You know, 92 for us is not bad. That's actually kind of seasonal. But as I was saying, right about here, if in the dark green, hope you can see it, the coastal counties continue under a coastal flood watch. The tides are still very high. And if you're driving along the beaches, you may get cut off at high tide especially. But as I was saying, as I had a light bulb moment over the weekend, why did the surge come so high onto the Texas coast if the storm was 400 miles away? I have the answer. Warm water expands. The water is now at 87 degrees. That means that the surge was higher than normal. The tides were higher than normal. So you can say that global warming, which is now affecting the oceans, had a lot to do with the fact that a storm that far south made such a difference along the Texas coast, because of course all that water streaming ashore. So all these counties of the United States are under that heat advisory, and you can see how that puts us in the tropical situation. So high temperatures tomorrow getting up to about 89, 90, which is about seasonal, with a couple of little afternoon showers rolling around. It's not until about Sunday, Monday that we have the potential of additional showers. I'm not saying the storm's coming here, but it's coming toward the Mexican coast, so you saw what happened last time. So we'll watch and wait, and certainly we'll be updating you every day. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. That squiggly thing on your screen, if you take a picture with your phone, you can put Crossroads Today right on your cell top. We'll toss it over to Karina.
Thank you, Mac. And now here's Zach with your sports.
Goliad's big men winning big, giving them even more excitement ahead of football season. That's in sports. Well, the Astros came into yesterday's game trying to sweep the Baltimore Orioles and continue to gain ground as they hope to turn their season around. First pitch of the bottom of the first inning, Altuve sends it out. That's one pitch, one run for Houston, and the Astros weren't done yet in the bottom of the first frame. Yainer Diaz base knock is going to chase Alex Bregman home. Astros would score 8 runs total in the ball game, sweeping the Baltimore Orioles, who came into this series tied for the second most wins in baseball at 49, and the Astros did all of this with Kyle Tucker still sidelined with his injury. The The Astros, outscored Baltimore 27-13 in this series. Next up for the Stros, 2 games against the Colorado Rockies, scored 27 and 50 on the year. The Texas Rangers over at Globe Life taking on the Kansas City Royals through the first 3.5 innings. It was scoreless until the Rangers finally able to break through with 3 runs in the frame. They go on to beat Kansas City 4-0, but the Rangers have a different story on their hands. They are the only team in baseball without a Pride Night, and that's going to lead us to your viewer poll. Do you think the Rangers should have a Pride Night? Yes or no? 87% say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote sports to take part. By the way, the Rangers say their goal is to make sure everyone feels welcomed at their games. Football season about a month away, and 2 of our area teams in the top 10 in preseason rankings. Edna at number 5, Goliad at number 10, and Goliad with a lot of reasons to be excited. Fresh off a year in which they won a district title, their big men just won the lineman challenge. This video from Goliad Athletics, a lot of folks showing up, but it was the Tigers who dominated, showing what South Texas football is all about in terms of points. Goliad had 76 total points. Second place Lexington had just 54. The Texas A&M Aggies taking on the Tennessee Volunteers. It's the final game of the year, Game 3 of the College World Series. Cal Allen's Justin Lampkin got the start for the Aggies, and the score right now in that one, Tennessee just hit a solo home run, so it's 1-0 in the early going. That is it for your sports. Donna, Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. And we're back in a moment. July 4th is right around the corner, and we want to pass along some safety tips.
If you have not seen episode number 1, Let's Grow Texas Ag, a great program on the state of agriculture and the Crossroads. You can catch it this Saturday on 3 Victoria Television Group stations. On KAVU at 5 p.m., it's on KBCT at 4 p.m., and on KXTS at 11:30 a.m. Finally, tonight, as Americans gear up for Independence Day, boom! The Consumer Product Safety Commission is highlighting the dangers of fireworks. They say 2/3 of fireworks injuries happen in the weeks before and after the 4th of July. Safety experts say keep a bucket of water or garden hose nearby and keep children away from the fireworks. They also recommend that you move to a safe distance after lighting them and to never use fireworks while impaired, and I think you know what we mean by impaired.
Impaired.
Then you feel like your head is like that watermelon that just.
Yeah, bucket of water is going to help a lot then, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. It is gone. It is gone. It is gone, and we can't ask for the forecast yet. For
I've been working on it, but not yet, though. I'm getting there because we have this potential tropical thing in and that could vary. So I don't have a fix.
Right.
But as we get closer to it, maybe within 5 days of 4th of July, I will give you an official forecast. It's just that coming up this weekend, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we have a little bit of that tropical activity that we'll have to watch and wait to see where the path of that storm goes. But in the short term, not a bad looking week, hot and humid with a couple of little afternoon showers pretty much every afternoon through the weekend.
All right, and but we shouldn't be worried so much at this point about what's in the Gulf?
At this point in time, the system is geared toward the Mexican coast. However, it'll push tropical moisture up onto the Texas coast. We'll have much closer idea once we get closer to the date.
Great. Thank you.
I don't know that far out.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you tonight at 10.